The French call this dessert profiteroles, which means small gifts. Delicate pastry puffs are filled with ice cream and topped with a mixture of melted chocolate and cream. Cream puffs with ice cream and hot fudge sauce is a special dessert that's easy to make. To make cream puffs, all you need is butter, water, flour, salt, and eggs. This dough is also known as pâte choux, which means cream puff pastry. And to start, we take a cup of water, and you want to get that going as fast as possible because we need to boil this. You can add your 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a stick of butter that's been, cut into small pieces. The smaller the pieces, the faster it'll come to a rolling boil. And I'm adding 4 large eggs to this bowl, which again should be at room temperature. If you have your eggs at room temperature, it's just going to incorporate into this warm batter much easier. Okay, so it's 4 large eggs. I want to make sure that the yolks are popped. Now this is actually going to come up to a nice froth and start to boil over, and that's the time I'm going to add my flour. A cup of flour, and you want to add it all at once and start to stir immediately. And the most important part is to make sure that there is no lump of flour. You want to make sure that everything is cooked and that it pulls away from the sides. Okay, and that's it. When it pulls away from the side like that and you have a nice clean bottom, it's totally finished. Okay, just shut off your flame. Okay, and then transfer this to a bowl just so we can start to cool that mixture down. Okay, so using a handheld mixer or a stand mixer with the paddle attachment, you want to just give this a nice little minute or two. You can see all of that steam that's coming off. Now don't add all of the eggs at once, just add them a little bit at a time. And when it's totally absorbed, we go ahead and add a little bit more egg. And what we're also doing is developing gluten in that flour. As we mix the batter, you can see that it's getting tougher and tougher, which is going to give us stability, and when it's in the oven is what's going to create that beautiful puff. And I'm just going to get the last of that egg in there. Okay, now that's finished. Now it's a very sticky but a very easy batter to work with. And then just make sure that it's nice and uniform from top to bottom. Now a little trick that I have is just taking very little of the mix and putting it underneath my parchment paper. And what that does is hold that paper right to the surface of the pan, so that when we're working with it, because this batter is so sticky, you don't want it to pull up. Now to form my profiteroles, you can take 2 tablespoons and just do little drops, or you can use a resealable bag and just cut off the tip and pipe them. Now these do puff to at least twice their size. So when you're dropping them, make sure that they're at least 2 inches apart. Okay, so this is the same batter that is used in an eclair and a cream puff. Profiteroles are generally filled with ice cream, while the eclair is filled with a custard and sometimes a mousse. Going to have just enough for 24, 1 large egg yolk and 1 teaspoon of water, and just whisk that together. And you want to just lightly brush the tops, and this is going to give it a nice golden brown in the oven and also prevent them from cracking. These profiteroles will bake at 425 degrees, and it's the steam given off by the eggs that creates that puff in the oven. The hot fudge sauce takes minutes to make. Melt 6 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate with a 1/4 cup of light corn syrup. The corn syrup will add sweetness, and it will also give the hot fudge sauce a beautiful shine. When the chocolate's completely melted, turn off your flame and add 3/4 of a cup of heavy cream. And you want to make sure that it comes together and it's nice and smooth and that there are no chocolate lumps. And that's it. I have 2 trays of profiteroles that are golden brown. While the outside of the profiterole is nice and crisp, the inside is a moist, eggy texture. And you want to dry out that eggy texture until you have a very light for its size profiterole. So what I want to do is take them out, poke holes in them so that I can release the rest of that steam. And then I'm going to turn off the oven and just let that residual heat dry out the profiteroles. Once the cream puffs have cooled, you want to cut them in half horizontally, and using a serrated knife is usually the best tool. You want to put a nice big scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of each bottom, and then return the top, and then give a generous helping of hot fudge sauce on the top. The great thing about cream puffs with ice cream and hot fudge sauce is that all of this can be prepared in advance. After you fill the puffs with ice cream, wrap each one individually in plastic wrap and store them in the freezer for up to 2 days. The hot fudge sauce can then be refrigerated for up to 3 weeks in an airtight container. Impress your guests with this classy dessert.